Is there a better way than, the banks have inserted themselves between us and every transaction now more and more and more with credit cards, for instance. An average of probably 2.5% merchant fees. You've got some people at 3.5%, some people down at 1.5%. But typically, as we go more and more to credit cards, the banks have now gotten their cut of every single transaction that's going on in a society. And even if you use cash, you've still got a checking account, and you pay fees for the checking account. Is there a better way than this, do you think?
Well, I think there is a better way, and you're right, Mike. Central banking is 300 years old, and it does go back to the creation of the Bank of England, and now it's a worldwide phenomenon. And yeah, bankers have always stood in the middle, and they've always taken a little bit out of every transaction. But for most of that time, we were on a gold standard. So yes, bankers stood in the middle, and they took out, extracted a little profit. But the system as a whole had a governor, which was the gold standard, that came in various forms. Today we have no governor at all. We have the same system with banks in the middle extracting profits, except there's absolutely no limitation on the expansion of the balance sheet and the expansion of money, or currency as you call it, or credit broadly defined. So it is out of control. It will collapse. It's just a matter of time. I don't think there's any question about that. As for a better way, sure, you can go back to real money, which would be, in my view, gold. People always say, well, Warren Buffett criticizes gold. He says it has no yield. Well, it's not supposed to have a yield. It's money. Money doesn't have a yield. You take a dollar bill out of your wallet, it has no yield. To get yield, you have to take risks. You can make a bank deposit. They call that money, but it's really a credit transaction between you and the bank. You can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, you can do a lot of things. But to get the yield, you're always taking risk. Money doesn't have a yield because it doesn't have risk, and that's why gold has no yield. It goes up and down in dollars.
You're right. Money doesn't have risk. Currency, though, does now. That isn't backed by money.
That's correct.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. But now you're into the definition. What is money? What is currency, et cetera? And the central banks rely on the difficulty of everyday Americans or everyday citizens around the world understanding that to pull off the scam that you described. So a better system would be, gold is money. I think it's a little inconvenient to walk around with gold coins. I know people used to do that. There's nothing wrong with having a paper representation of the gold, but it has to be tantamount to a warehouse receipt, as you described. It has to be something where I can walk into any treasury or any bank or any maybe a post office or whatever and plunk it down on the counter and get a fixed amount of gold, no questions asked. That's a real gold standard where the money's backed up by gold. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have credit. We could have a gold standard where the money's backed by gold, but if I want to lend you money, I give you money and you give me a note. We've expanded our balance sheets. That's a credit transaction. But at least we're honest about what it is. We're not pretending it's money. We're saying it's a credit transaction with risk. And so, but what the problem today is that most of what is actually credit, the Fed and the Treasury and the banking system are calling money. So they fool people into thinking it's money when it's actually credit and debt. And again, I think your video points that out. So you can have a sound money system that has credit in it, but at least we'll be honest about what credit is. That would put a governor on it. Then it wouldn't expand so fast. People would be a little more careful about whom they trust and how they do business.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't understand the function of a governor, I used to have mini bikes and stuff like that, and they had these little Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engines years ago, and there was this little device that would limit the RPM that and so if you wanted to go faster, you could reach down to the engine and pull the governor and get rid of the this blockage and let the RPM go into runaway, which was dangerous. And so you're saying that the system now, they can step on the throttle without limit.
That's right.